the Hemi block could be the cheapest part you bought. And he passed out in the car.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed history.
How about that?
All right, guys, the Durango, I don't know if the Durango is what started it, but it's taking us down this Mopar thing. So same as in this wormhole in this video that we go to Connecticut to get that car that came from Detroit, but that as well as trade update. So trade update, know that the Tahoe, so when we had the drawing for the Tahoe, there was cash or the Tahoe. That was in February. So finally all that got organized through the lawyers, but they took the cash, so we have the Tahoe. So we've got different trade opportunities that keep happening with it. So we did have one that was real high on our list, the 57 Chevy wagon. 57 Chevy wagon, he called today and said that when his daughter found out that he had offered to trade that, then she was in tears that they'd worked on that car together. So totally understand that retraction of that. So that kind of takes 57 Chevy out of the mix. So we do have our other cars that have been voted on, but then there's some other new stuff in there. One's even got a blower on it that's in the mix. So we'll see. I mean, we could go down a road where we get a blower car. So that might be cool no matter what it is. Maybe. So maybe. If a tree did hit it. If what? If a tree didn't hit it. If a tree didn't land on it. So, but the other is what merch. So Bobby's representing the Sick World shirt. There's a lot of new merch on the website. So you guys have been doing great with going on there, helping us with getting merch. What do you got? You got the Smells Like Race Gas, Bad Decisions, EJ's. EJ's rocking the barbecue truck. So we can turn around and rock the barbecue truck. There you go. Barbecue truck. And then I've got the Sick Summer, Sick Ward. So cool shirt. Sick Summer's coming up less than a month. So we got that. Enjoy the video, guys. Go to the like and subscribe to the channel. So helps out a lot that you guys know that you like what we're doing, or you comment if you don't like what we're doing. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the video. All right, guys, we are in Connecticut. So we've got the trailer, bringing the trailer here, and this is hopefully where we're going home with something. So out here in rainy day in Connecticut. So we got Mopars everywhere here. Before it looked like a dirt car with a flathead. They said this has a Kasi 1,000 horse Ford in it. All right, so I am in Connecticut. Where Connecticut again? Old Saybrook. Old Saybrook. So like lots of weird old names out here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we drove the Parkway like for a while coming out of New York City. Oh, you did that? Like, and I'm like, there's like nowhere for the cops to be or anything like that. It said 55, and it was like the most like they're bouncy movie, and I mean people are doing 90 miles an hour or whatever. You know, I mean we were keeping up fine, but like, geez, these people fly. And then I had a car come up behind me, and I thought it was a car behind them flashing the high beams. I don't know if it was a cop or not, but it had, I don't know if it was just an ex-cop car, but flashing the spotlight a couple times or whatever. And I'm like, there's nowhere for me to get over yet. And then as soon as I could get over, I got over. But then he went flying by. But I'm like, I'm not sure if that was a cop or an ex-cop car. So, but either way, so we're out here talking cars, like AFX cars. Yep. And brings us to this part of Connecticut for the car that we're going to show you. Very cool car. And he's actually got two like that. One was built by McKesson. The other one is you built it from scratch. Yeah. So, So we're going to cover those cars and see if hopefully we can go home with one of these. So great. Good project car for us. All right. Tell me a little about this one.
So this is an interesting story. So my boy Todd, buddy of mine, and a boy, he's in the guns. So he had some gun pieces being machined by a local machine shop. So on a Friday afternoon, he goes to the machine shop to get the gun parts. Comes back and says, look at these numbers. He says, I'm at the shop, and this motor's set, the block is set underneath the bench. And the guy tells me it's a small, big block Chevy. He says, being around you, I know it's not. So he shows me the casting numbers, and it comes up 66 to 71 Hemi.
Wow.
So the guy thought it was a big block Chevy. So he calls him up and says, hey, what are you doing with that motor? I don't really know. He says, so take $100 for it? So he buys it for $100, the short block, or just a block, brings it back. It's a version 66 block that's probably worth $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's a version 66 block?
And it was a virgin block. Virgin block. Version 66 block, no boring, so it's standard bore, no decking. Because the one thing you'll find with Hemis, you really got to pay attention to, 90% of them are raced at one point in their life. And most commonly, they're decked real hard. Because back in the day, piston choice was pretty limited. There was a lot of limitations, as well as in super stock or just simply making power. And
So you just grind it down to get more compression out of it?
correct.
Okay.
Yep. You know, instead of changing the piston height, they changed the block height.
Jeez.
You know, so I said to him at that point, he says, well, I'm going to build it. I said, well, that Hemi block will be the cheapest part you bought.
All right, so tell us about this one, Bill.
So this, me and my buddy built this car from scratch. It's a 65 Belvedere to begin with life. Rolled in here as an old race car. And so then we consulted the factory bulletin for about 10 minutes and said, okay, I see what we got to do. And we started cutting and chopping. It took us about a year to do the car. We've raced it several times. It's been raced Lebanon Valley quite a bit. It's been out to the Nationals. It's been Beaver Springs, South Mountain Dragway in Pennsylvania. It's a pump gas, 600 horse motor, 500 cubic inches. That's a factory style or factory intake manifold. So it's a factory style cross ram with 2.4 Hemi Holly 4 barrels. 727 column shifted reverse valve body. So very much like the factory built these cars back in the day.
So going down the track, you're manually shifting on the column?
Car in the air in the second gear, no problem. You know, I'm so used to it. Racing the other classes I race, we are also column shifted. So you get really used to being able to just click it one notch and because if you shift it in the middle of a wheel stand, it'll calm it down and it won't quite be as crazy as I've had this car bounce back up probably 5 feet when it bounced.
This car stands on the bumper. Yeah, he showed me the picture. So does this have wheelie bars or just the bumper?
It's got a bumper. That collects all the rubber. If you feel the under backside of the bumper, it's all. Oh yeah.
Tell me what AFX stands for.
A factory experimental.
Okay.
So back in the early 60s, all the manufacturers, it was a class in NHRA, AHRA, experimental. So A was basically run what you bring. You know, it's out of
Okay. I didn't know if A was big block and then there was a B and
B.
Other
Oh, is that how it was? So you have that. Jim saying, yes, that is correct. So,
but we got an expert back here telling us.
A with big motors and B with well about.
Well, because the others, like you can't say altered wheelbase or everybody thinks fuel altereds.
Right.
So that's why you got to say AFX.
AFX, exactly, because that's back in the era of AFX was really pretty hot through the early 60s to the middle of the 60s. And it still was out there, but it was basically the factory testing the waters. What can they do? What can they get away with? You know, whereas if this car was super stock, limitations play a big role at that point in time. You know, you gotta have this. I mean, the super stock cars in '64 had to have exhaust on them.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't
Yeah. Oh yeah. They got creative. I mean, Chrysler in '64, and I don't know if you've ever seen a set of them, but they had tubular headers.
Oh, really?
They were required manifolds. Well, there was a cast iron flange that went on the cylinder head that was about this long.
Really? And it connected to tubular headers.
Nice. And then the tubular headers had a crossover pipe with caps. Like the, I don't know if you ever see the Max Wedge sauce had caps on it. Well, it's very similar to that. And the center of that would be a crossover going to a muffler that went out to a pipe out to a muffler to a tailpipe.
Wow.
But as soon as you got the track, you took the caps off, and that meant nothing. All the glass had to be in them cars. So in '64, which my buddy has, a '64 race Hemi Dodge, Lexan windows, that exhaust system, just the whole nose is aluminum. Fenders, doors, fender's hood, door hinges are aluminum. The glass was all Lexan and done from the factory at the factory.
Wow, that's crazy. What they would do to make them light. And
Exactly what they would do to try and be competitive.
I thought all this stuff rusts away in Connecticut like it does in Michigan.
Well, this probably didn't come from Connecticut, but this thing it's got a real radical cam in it that.
So with that cam, you got to switch them to a shaker hood, because like that looked pretty sweet with a shaker hood sitting there rattling like that.
So he was pretty persistent that he wanted to keep the six pack in the air grabber system and all that because it seals to the hood. Well, them cylinder heads actually moved the intake up 1.5 inches.
Oh wow!
So we had to shim the K-frame. We had to do all kinds of things to make this all fit. This class here we are tied to looking totally stock. So that's an 840 horse Hemi, 540 cubic inches.
Wow!
Then you shift it, 8,500.
Jeez.
And this car, to date for me, I've been 1004 and 140 in this car, with the tires that are on it.
Did this come out to Roadkill?
I don't think it's ever been
No?
a roadkill. I don't think Dave ever went to roadkill with it. He's
I remember a
Michigan.
nice black V-body with it out there before, but did I remember looked all stock? Sounds so lame.
Yeah.
There you go. There's even a time slip in the window.
Uh, 1968 Dart GT, bought it a couple months back. I had the power plant way before I had the motor. Scored the block for $100.
Okay, so you're the one that got the
That's my
block
block,
over
yeah.
there that
Oh,
you were
yeah,
telling me
that's the whole
about.
gig.
Okay.
And spent the last year building the motor, and then I bought the car in October. And had one in high school, reliving my dreams, right? That's about it.
So actually, though, it started out as a gun, that you were going for a gun, and now what has it turned into? So, because he said you were going to pick up some parts for a gun, that's where the block ended up.
Yeah, so
and here
I-
we are now, how many
So
years
actually,
later?
I would. So I went up to go get a Hemi GTX. It was '67. Well, no, supposedly not a Hemi, but the car had he changed the plate. It wasn't any good. This is the original slant six car, so I'm doing it a favor. And that's about it. Gotta cut the wheel wells out, got the templates, and it should be all right.
I'll show you a few things on it that. So if you look at the back of the pan, you can see it's,
Yep, I can see.
it's pushed up pretty hard. And
Gotcha.
the pickup's on this side and swings back and forth. So it's been straightened many times.
Yeah, it looks like it's been pounded out a few times.
Oh, yeah. I fixed it over here. This is where it windowed, the only window in the whole block. And that was done professionally, and it, like I said, it's run since.
It was professionally windowed or professionally fixed?
repaired. Well, both. Both. So the last time, the only time I've taken it out since then, I took it to Englishtown for nationals to show it, just put it in a display. And it had no brakes. I put brake fluid in it and it had brakes. Well, it still has brakes. So I suspect the master cylinder's leaking or something's leaking, so you need to go through all of that.
To put you on the spot, now tell me about the car, because I did do a post that said about McKesson and Bill McKesson, because we found some pictures of the original car.
respond?
So nope, we didn't get anything from it, but
Yep.
the one guy was like, well, Bill Atwood or whatever, like in Connecticut, like he's got the car. And I'm like, nope, that's a replica. I know that was built, and so
Right,
tell me a little
exactly.
bit about what you know.
So what I know about the car, and I've communicated with Bill several times, and Bill is deaf, so you have to communicate with him through somebody, or I actually Facebook. I've texted him. I got his cell phone and stuff, and so early, mid to late '60s, he campaigned a altered wheelbase car similar to what the factory built.
Yeah, and what we saw is we found a
recently-
picture, like a random picture on the internet or whatever, that said, it didn't even say what race he was going to, but said had traveled all the way from Michigan, like with the car
Right.
to campaign it out there. So that's what made it even cooler about the car, is like, I
going
didn't
back
realize
home.
he was from Michigan
Yep.
and ran at Detroit, the old Detroit Dragway.
Yep.
So,
So he campaigned at that car for a few years. Then he got involved with not a, like you explained, not a flip-top funny car, but it was a 66, 67 Charger body that the nose flipped up and
yeah,
you
the
know,
jackknife, they called it the jackknife.
Okay. He ran nitromethane in that car. You know, that was a pretty serious car compared to the previous car, which I don't know what he ran for fuel, but there's several posts on Facebook that if you go look digging through for Bill McKesson, that he's got multiple pictures and stuff, and
Okay.
and talks about like one picture, the top of the motor was apart. He said, "Well, that wasn't a good race weekend," you know, that kind of thing. And I think he got away from racing or didn't race for a few years, and got the itch again. He bought this car as a driving car. I spoke to somebody, I think at the Mopar Nationals one time, because I had it out there, and he said he remembered the car when Bill drove it in the shop as a running, driving 65 Belvedere.
Okay.
And they built it into what it is now. Steve Atwell had a lot to do with it, from what I understand. I don't know if you know who he is.
No.
So anyhow, he raced the car a lot. He referred to himself, and everybody referred to him as Bragging Billy. You know, and, I guess he was quite a character.
Okay.
And when I went out with the car, I've been to Beaver Springs with it. I went to the Mopar Nationals, New England Dragway. But when I went out west, like Mopar Nationals or Beaver Springs, people would, "Where's Bill? Where's Bill?" I'm Bill. You know?
Yeah, I'm the other Bill.
Yeah. So I ended up, the car, I bought it on eBay.
Okay.
A guy from Phoenix, Arizona bought it from Bill, and then for whatever reason, they never even started it.
Wow.
Matter of fact, when I bought it from them people, they really didn't even know what they had. You know, I was asking them questions about it and so on, and they just, you know, they wouldn't answer the questions because they didn't know. So after I got it home, we brought it right on this very lift, got it running. Inner City towed it from Phoenix for me, and we raced it mostly at Lebanon Valley, but we took it to other places here and there, just exhibition.
Okay.
My best pass is 940 and 140, had a lot of fun with the car. You know, it just got involved with fast racing. Then my buddy built, me and my buddy built Flashback together, and he decided to sell that, and you know that I built, so I really wanted to keep that. So as time went on, I ignored this more and more. And
So the 942, you only ever ran this on pump gas, and
I've never,
supposedly
ever
he
ran-
ran methanol,
he
or,
ran
or
alcohol.
you ran race gas.
race
but-
gas,
Okay.
yep. But he ran it on alcohol and 10% nitromethane.
Okay.
And he had been 880 in the car. Yeah, scraped on this side of the car, there's,
So you say like this scraping
this
here,
scrape,
down through
that
here.
line all the way down, basically. Twitch panel up here that you'll have to go through to see. Actually, the battery on. Does that say any voltage there? No. It does have tail lights, which that's what's on right now.
Okay.
And I believe it does have brake lights, but that's as far as lights are concerned. That's the limit of it. There's a dome light. There's a button on the side of it. That turns the front fan on. That turns the interior fan on.
And you said that trunk fan was really just used to get the smoke out of the car after the burnout,
one of the
or?
responses I got asking questions about the car, Bill was in his shop doing burnouts in the shop with the car with nitromethane in it, and he passed out in the car. And the guy told me that that's the results of the fan in the trunk to try and pull fumes out of the car. He was definitely a bit crazy. I think it's going to need batteries. I know it's going to need batteries. It'll start and run on them, but I've charged the shit out of them, and they go away pretty quick.
Well, yeah, you guys in this no alternator stuff, like.
Yeah, well, that's something you guys will have to have. We have the advantage of pulling in the pinch and charging the battery. Want me to fire it up?
Yep, let's fire it up. All right, we came all the way to Connecticut to get this piece of Detroit racing history. So very cool car, like just amazing that we had to come all the way out here to find it. But what should we do with it? Like, where should we race it? Should we make this a full drag and drive car? I mean, you tell us, what do you think we should do? And were we dumb for getting this thing? Let us know.